Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to another episode of What's That Whiskey here on Drums and Drams. My name's Cameron, and today I'm going to be taking a look at one blind sample sent in by a generous Patreon supporter and friend of the channel, Sam. So while I get this poured out now, I'm going to remind you guys how this series works. Basically, I'm going to give you a blind review of whatever is in my glass. I'm going to make some guesses at the end of the video after I give you my impressions and my tasting notes. And then at the very, very end, I'm gonna find out what's in my glass by taking a look at whatever's in this envelope here, the reveal envelope. But you guys are gonna know well ahead of time, either during the first nosing or the first taste of this whiskey, and I'll put that along the bottom of the screen. So a little guessing game and also just a nice opportunity to do a blind review of something. It could be great, it could be tragic, who knows? Sam has some pretty good whiskeys in his collection, but he's also probably looking to trick me, a little bit here or there too. So let's go to the nose now and see what we get. Okay, so right away, peanut vibes on this, but it's not necessarily like a bright peanut shell, it's not super dry is what I want to say. It's a kind of like a creamier peanut note on here, almost a little fatty, like a little cashew kind of action as well. Yeah, just some sort of like, yeah, let's just say peanut butter. I'm not gonna say what I was gonna say. And so after that, I should just call out that it feels like a Heaven Hill product. It doesn't feel like Jim Beam. This feels like it could have some decent age to it as well, but let me go on a really quick tangent here because it's fresh in my mind. Some Heaven Hill aged bourbons, if that's what this is, they can kind of go down two different paths, I feel like. I mean, of course, there's infinite possibilities with their flavor profiles, but the two main paths that I see are one, kind of this darker, fruity, very, very oaky and leathery kind of profile. And then the other one, which would be kind of like what's in my glass now, is a brighter, more, again, like peanut buttery, just overall like marzipan almost, kind of like this buttery, brighter, but also sweeter profile in some ways with not as much oak. It's a little cleaner and a little more like direct and down the middle. So all that to say, this falls into that lighter category, that second profile that I was talking about. Let's go back to the nose before I get into the palate on this one. So after I go back to the nose, I do pick up a little bit more brown sugars and baking spices. It's sweet, it's aromatic. It's solid on the nose, but it's not blowing me away. I feel like this could be like Heaven Hill 18 or William Heaven Hill 17. Both of those products have this kind of a profile, and some earlier batches of Elijah Craig Barrel Proof do as well. B517 has this. Even some of the Pirate bottles can get a little bit brighter like this. They're not all super dark and dusty whiskeys, but enough guessing. I think this is solid on the nose, not blowing me away, but it's definitely agreeable, definitely something that I want to drink. Let's do that now. Cheers. All right, so on the palate, this whiskey starts off with a good amount of spice, but then it immediately softens. Like right after that first punch, it softens up. It kind of becomes almost delicate, almost a little bit fractured, right? And as it leans into the mid palate, it all ramps up. But this time, instead of like this oak spice and these kind of, like oaky, what did I say, brown sugars and baking spices and stuff, instead of that carrying it forward, all of this fruit carries it forward. It's lighter fruit. It's a little bit of like sweet citrus, I guess, almost a little bit of like an orangey kind of quality to it. And some other fruit notes as well, like very light, sprinkles of cherry and kind of strawberry in there too. But it's interesting. It's like, it's brash up front, kind of falls apart a little bit, comes together into the mid palate, and then ramps up into the finish. And in the finish now, there's a lot of leather left hanging on. And so I do feel like this whiskey is older than one might suspect, just, upon nosing it, or maybe even like the front of the palate, mid palate. You're like, oh, this is, like 8 to 12 years old. But then in the finish now, I feel like this is a higher age statement. And so my guess on the nose of Heaven Hill 18 or William Heaven Hill 17, those feel like decently probable guesses for me right now. I gotta do one more sip, then we'll lock those guesses in and do the reveal. Okay, so second sip is a much more cohesive palate experience. Now that I've had my first sip, the front of the palate doesn't quite have that pop to it like it did initially. And I think that's actually a good thing because it makes the entire whiskey feel a little bit softer, a little bit more delicate, just kind of the entire way through. And because of that, that makes it feel like a cohesive experience. Whereas before, when you have this punch up front and then everything else is a little soft, a little timid and relaxed and delicate, and then it ramps up into the finish again. It almost felt like it had too many phases to the whiskey. And now, again, it feels like a more put together drinking experience. So I do like this whiskey. It doesn't blow me away. I'm firmly in the Heaven Hill camp. I am thinking this is probably about 120 proof. The softness makes it feel like it could be a 107 to 110, but I'm gonna guess 120. And I just think it's a profile thing that makes it feel a little bit less than that. I'm gonna go out on a limb here. I'm gonna stick with my initial guesses. I'm gonna say this is Heaven Hill 18, actually. So let's go 18-year age statement. Heaven Hill 18, 120 proof, not finished, bourbon. Those are my final guesses. I think this is a good pour. Even if it's not Heaven Hill 18, it doesn't change my impression of this. It's not something that I'm gonna seek out. It's not my preferred Heaven Hill profile, but I think a lot of people do like this profile, so let's see what we got here. Oh, so freaking close. Oh my gosh, this makes more sense. Okay, this makes more sense with the softness of the whiskey. It is Heaven Hill. It is from the Heritage Collection, but it's Heaven Hill 20-year. It is a corn whiskey, not a bourbon. It's 115 proof, not 120, so the slight softness that I talked about, and seeing this possibly a little lower, all of this makes sense. I was really close, but also kind of not close at all because this is a different style of whiskey. Anyways, I do like this. I do like this pour, guys. And when I first tasted this Heaven Hill 20, I said kind of the same thing about it. It's like, look, this is enjoyable. It's like an advanced Heaven Hill product with this lighter profile, but it doesn't have the depth and complexity and richness that I want out of something. In this case, it's 20 years old, 115 proof. And so if this were maybe 125 bucks, I would totally buy it, you know? But $300, I think, is SRP for this. Secondary, even higher than that. No chance I would be picking it up at that price point, but a solid whiskey, you know, it's kind of like a B level whiskey is where I would put it. So that's gonna do it. Thanks, Sam. This was a tricky pour. I think you knew that. I think that's probably why you put this in there. You know what? I might just go ahead and record another one that Sam sent me. It's the last one that I've got from him. So I'm gonna do that right after this video. Cheers, guys. Let me know how you think I did. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you soon here on Drums and Drams.